And we are back for Real Talk. Joining me today is Matthew Robinson. He took a train from Norwich, and if you're in like Kentucky and don't know where that is, it's like 3.5 hours away. It's up in the north. And he dropped in today, and we're gonna try to walk him through what I'm calling this resist and transform system. So, you know, a lot of people come to London Real because they're looking for new ideas, and they kind of want to get further in their life. Sometimes they're not where they want to be, and they see the guests on London Real, or maybe they see, you know, my journey over the past 8 years, and they're like, man, I'd like for 2020 to be the year where I actually do great things. So first of all, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what's it like being here?
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's very professional.
Okay. How long have you been following us?
Oh, I've been following you now for a few years. I did the Business Accelerator course.
Excellent. Okay.
Amazing course.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
Okay.
I'm not just saying that, I do highly recommend it. Changed my life.
Excellent. All right, good. Well, I want to see if we can take those tools and then find out where you are in your life, and then see if we can obviously get you stepping forward on that. Tell me where you're at right now. If you had to kind of tell us a little bit about you, and then fast forward us to a year from now, basically you're celebrating New Year's at the end of 2020, where would be a place where you would be like, wow, I'm so proud of myself. You know, your loved ones are proud of you. Somewhere you'd be like, wow, that's where I want to be. So maybe we start with, who are you and where are you right now?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Matthew Robinson. I'm a plant-based ultramarathon runner, and I'm a boxing hypnotherapist. I've worked with various boxers, from amateurs to white collar to professional. And I've been living in Spain for 3 years. Sorry, I've been living in Spain for 3 years now, and I had an experience in 3 years, which I'm obviously going to talk to you about. But where would I like to see myself at the end of 2020? It's a tricky one for me, because this year has all been about vision. It's been about vision and acceptance, and sometimes it's tough to accept the vision that you have. Sometimes you can't always quite see that vision. So it's been a year for me of really focusing on my vision, but I still couldn't say where I'm going to be at the end of 2020, if I'm honest.
Okay. Now, real quickly, I mean, I don't meet a lot of boxing hypnotherapists, so if you had to do like a 30-second explanation, what does that entail?
What does that entail? Well, boxers want to win. That's the main thing. A lot of boxers want to increase their focus as well, but the main priority is to win. I provide accelerated learning through hypnotic suggestion and visualization. There's been a lot of tests done, and visualization is 1% less than physical training. And with the power of suggestion, it helps to increase confidence and to accelerate learning, which is what I've already said.
Wow, okay. So you spend your time kind of putting these guys and girls in hypnosis so they can become better boxers and win. That's kind of the plan. Okay. But at the same point, you're thinking about changing your journey to a certain extent. And you've got an intuition that you want to go one way, but you haven't necessarily seen the end goal, right? Okay, cool. So I was in the same place 8 years ago. I walked out of my job in banking, and I knew I didn't want to do that anymore. And then I started putting my face on YouTube, right? And I didn't really know why or where I was going. I just knew that something was drawing me for a new experience or a new journey. I didn't see that one day I'd be here with you and we'd be making movies and all this. I just didn't see that. But I also knew I needed to change the way I was going to go. So are you kind of having a similar thing where you're like, I don't necessarily want to do this anymore? Okay. Yeah. Can you tell us more about it, like, or details, or, you know?
Yeah, it's about vision, actually. So I've been studying a lot about Customado and Mike Tyson, and I was very passionate about it. Anyway, I had this, before I said that, we moved to Spain to help my stepdaughter find a cure for cancer because she has a brain tumour.
Wow.
And we came across something called Rick Simpson oil.
Yeah, I know of him, yeah.
Okay.
Dorian Yates talks to me about it all the time.
Okay, Dorian Yates from Marbella.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was just down the road anyway from Marbella. So long story short, Kerry's stable now.
That's amazing.
She's stable now.
Okay.
But she left some Rick Simpson oil in the house. And I tried it. I tried a heroic dose. And basically what happened was I had this experience which I can only describe as 20 years of psychoanalysis in a few hours.
So you ingested some THC oil.
This is 100%.
Which in the digestive system, from what I understand, can have kind of psychedelic ways, the way the liver actually produces that. And people find this, I think, with edibles in the US, when they just take a lot, they actually go into something that isn't typically associated with, say, a marijuana experience. All right, so you saw some things. And what were some of them? Like, if you had to break it down, was it do this and don't do this?
Yeah, it was a very strange, peculiar experience. So it took me back to my past. I had unresolved issues of guilt and grief that I thought had been dealt with, and clearly they hadn't. They'd been buried. So that all came up, which was very strong, it was a very powerful experience for me, because I felt incredibly guilty about issues from my past, which anyway, and then
Can we talk about those issues?
Those guilt issues? Yeah, I mean, it's part of the grieving process. So I lost someone who was very, very close to me many, many years ago. She died unexpectedly. She had an epileptic fit in the bath and drowned. I felt I could have done more for her, to be there with her.
How old were you?
I was probably about 20, 25.
Okay.
Yeah, long story short, part of the grieving process is guilt. And dealing with that guilt, obviously, doesn't mean that you're guilty for anything, it just means that you feel guilt.
Right.
So I think it was buried in my unconscious mind, and that came out like a fire, I can only explain the experience. It was like a fire. It set fire to my subconscious. Is it okay to move on?
Yeah, no, I'm wondering, like, now that you saw that experience, can you look at your life, say, over the last few years, and seen where maybe that guilt has made you stop short or made you hold back in being who you want to be or doing what you want to do?
Yeah, I can think of a few. I can think of at least one explanation or one incident where that's happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just continue. So you had all these thoughts and visions, and then what was your takeaway from it?
So so went to the present. All the issues in my present were highlighted, and then it took me to a future. I don't know if it was real or imagined or whatever, but obviously in situations like that, it feels real, and it took me to an outcome that I didn't particularly want to happen if I was to carry on going down this path, even though I've had many wins and successes. So that was it in a nutshell, came out of the experience.
An outcome you didn't want to happen, which, can you be descriptive?
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, you said it took you to an outcome you didn't want to happen.
Yeah, so it took me to a catastrophic worst case scenario.
Okay, like one of the people you train gets hurt, something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, which is something you have to deal with all the time, because you send people into the ring where they could incur some brain trauma.
You got it.
Or hurt someone else.
You got it.
All right. So ultimately, you're questioning the business you're in.
It was like an existential crisis.
Wow. Because you're in the business of humans damaging other humans and damaging themselves to a certain extent as well. And that's maybe been gnawing at your subconscious for a while, and this came up. Okay. That's big.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you said it also told you where you're currently at. How would you describe where you're currently at? You know, like what are your challenges? Because we can get to this vision. I think it's really powerful. But like, how would you say where are you currently at? What do you struggle with?
Right. At the moment, so I struggle with this vision, with this alternative future. Obviously, there's an opposite. So I've been struggling with these emotions and these anxieties, this fear. I don't know what kind of fear it is, but I've been struggling with it a lot. So I've kind of like put it to the side, because although it's not real, it feels real.
Yeah.
So I guess that's avoidance, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be real. You say it's not real, but it feels real. I mean, it is real. If you feel it, it's real. Why fear? What are you fearing? And what's the anxiety about?
So the fear is, well, I guess it's a fear of failure.
Okay.
Or
talk about that.
Well, you know, there's the fear of success, and then, you know, the fear of it going well and not being able to cope with that. And then there's also the fear of failure. If it did happen, how would I live with myself? How would I cope? Relating to what happened to me when I was younger with the guilt, you know, how would I deal that in an adult, grown-up way? Would I feel guilty, or would I feel remorseful? It's it's a lot for the mind to juggle.
What does failure look like?
What does failure look like?
It's like I think a lot of us have fear of failure and fear of success, but a lot of times it's this weird version of what might happen. And sometimes when you break it down to what it is, maybe we can understand it. So what would failure be, if you had to be specific?
Failure would be ultimately a failure as a human being, failure in my craft, failure in my ethics, failure in my integrity. That would be the ultimate suffering.
Okay, and you feel that that might happen now, more so than before?
I don't
Has it
feel
always been there?
that it might happen because I took action. This is something that happened in August, and I was living in Spain, and I was on my own. My partner, she works in the UK, and it was something that happened back then. So then I made a decision that I was going to change my life. So I moved back to the UK and thought, right, what would a normal person do? Get a job. I could still practice hypnotherapy until I've decided 100% what I'm going to do with box noses. So I've got to practice, started helping people lose weight and stop smoking. So I feel like I've taken action and moved away from that place, which to me was almost like a shadow side of myself.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's the way you were feeling when you were in Spain. But you haven't necessarily resolved any of those issues, the
No, I
anxiety
guess not.
and the fear. So, okay, and I mean, if I just went any deeper, I mean, what happens when you fail? Like, are you worried about what other people think? Is it like something from childhood or parents, or is it just you? You don't want to let down yourself. Do you feel like you let down yourself before when this girl had the fit and died? Is it that? Are you like shocked back to I don't want to do that again?
It's bizarre how the experience on RSO just kind of entangled my future, my present, and my past all into one solid blob. So no way I can explain it. So I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, because I just think it's really important to try to unpack that, because otherwise it's going to linger in your subconscious.
Got it,
and
yeah.
it'll manifest itself in your behaviors,
Yeah,
most
got
likely.
Got it. Yeah.
But you think pretty sure it's a fear of failure, and failing in your craft, in your life, and letting people down.
Yeah, I've failed massively. I've failed massively before. I've succeeded massively. So I know what failure feels like. Failure doesn't bother me when you do your best and you put it all on the line, because you can learn a lot from failure. Believe me, I know. I really know. I've had losses, but that isn't real failure. Real failure is when you're doing something wrong, or you're doing something and you don't know that you're doing it wrong, or that you could do something wrong because you think it's right. So it's about honesty, it's about wisdom, it's about integrity, and it's just about me learning a process which hasn't really been properly uncovered, and making sure that I'm doing it in a proper way, in a correct ethical way. So failure to me is just about me getting my ethics right.
Okay, and does this have to do with the boxing stuff? Like, is it a failure to you if you continue in this practice and continue in this industry?
I think I was focusing too much on Mike Tyson and how Cuss helped Mike, because Mike Tyson had a hypnotist, and Mike was programmed to be a machine, and that's great. But it's not all about that, you know. It's not black and white. It's about color.
Okay, so you're making peace that you could still be in this industry, but still you think there is this kind of anxiety or potential fear of failure that's clouding you from moving forward as fast as you could.
Correct.
But you say that you failed before and that's okay, but yet you also say that that's holding you back. So how do we resolve those two things?
How do we resolve?
Because you're not really, you are still afraid of failing. And I mean, I think we all are to a certain extent, but some people it paralyzes more than others. So how would you explain that if I was like a 6-year-old? Or it'd be like, you know, daddy or stepdaddy, you say you're not as scared of failing, but you say you are scared of failing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
What is that all about?
So I would say it's okay to fail when your intention is good and you're doing good. It's not okay to fail when your intention is bad and you're doing bad. And I think perhaps
you doing bad now?
I think I was a little bit too tangled up in my shadow side.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you think you're doing something bad now?
No, not at all. Not at all.
But there's still something there lingering, you think?
Yeah, I think you become what you think about.
Right.
So So you have to, from my point of view, I've been studying Customado and Mike Tyson, you know, and the mentality that Mike Tyson had to have in order to get into the ring, in order to become a world champion. It's not a particularly nice mentality.
I mean, look at the old videos of him. Yeah. Yeah. And so, all right. But so are you still grappling with this as far as something you want to do? Or are you telling yourself that it's okay now and you're going to move forward?
I'm telling myself it's okay now and I'm going to move forward.
Let me ask you a question. What if you decided to walk away from that industry? That probably is scary to you because you're probably really good at it and you probably you probably are someone people seek out for that, and it's a trade for you to teach people hypnotherapy and boxing. Like, what if you did say, I'm going to walk away from that? Is that scary to you?
It's not, no. It's not. I know that I could be much better at it. That said, I could walk away from it today and I could set up a business doing ultra running retreats. Less stress, less anxiety, perhaps, less fear.
Okay.
Avoidance again, I think.
Is that avoiding, you think?
I think it could be. I think my mind, because your mind is not your friend, and this is something that I learned from studying Customado. I think your mind tries to keep you safe. It tries to trick you into doing things.
So, all right, so you're at a real dilemma, and I appreciate that because I think a lot of people watching are in dilemmas like this as well. So part of you thinks, I could walk away from being in the business of, they call it the hurt business, is what they call it in the UFC. One of the fighters calls it the hurt business because they hurt other people, and go not be involved in that anymore and potentially have better karma. Maybe you're thinking, or you're saying, am I walking away from something just because of avoidance, whereas maybe I should continue doing this and be the best at it and just get comfortable with it.
100%.
Is that what it is?
That's 100%.
And like deep down in your heart, how do you feel about that business? Like, you know, do you think that there is good in there? Do you think that you can be a professional and actually teach someone to be the best killer in there? Or is that always going to bother you? This is an important question.
I think it's a great question. I think it's the most important question you've asked me. And the answer is really important. I believe that from what I've learned from studying CUS, there's good and there's bad. But the good is the champion mindset. And I can use that champion mindset in any field of life. Doesn't have to be boxing. Doesn't have to be hurting people. It can be helping people.
Okay, so why don't you do that? Because ultimately you got to be true with your heart, you know? And I think this is an important moment right now, you know? And I think a lot of people out there, I always say it's the longest distance in the world, 18 inches between your head and your heart. You know, in our heads we think logically, I got to do this, but a heart ultimately pulls us. It pulled me out of banking, even though logically it made no sense to anybody, and it didn't even make any sense on any. But my heart was like, I don't want to do that anymore. It makes me feel yucky. I'm around yucky people, and it's making me toxic. You know, so I pulled this other way. So you have to ask yourself, like, do you really feel that that's the thing you should do? Get away from that combat business, that hurt business. Like, can you think of that moment where you saw that boxer take a hit, or you've seen someone concussed? Does it bother you enough to where you think about it, like in your spare moments?
100%.
Okay, and does that get outweighed by the massive pleasure when you see someone step up and have the championship mindset and knock someone out?
It's a tough one, yeah.
I don't think it's a tough question. I think you know the answer.
It's an important question, and I've got to go with my heart. I've got to go with my heart.
Which is what?
I have to walk away from the hurt game and move into the help game.
I think you're right, man. I really do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Dude, man, I appreciate it too. And I know this is hard. It's a hard decision, you know. And I think a lot of people out there are facing these equal dilemmas, you know. And that's why it's a dilemma. But you could have. I mean, I think that's congruent to everything I can feel about you right now, you know. And I'm sure there's part of you, although I don't hear it too much, that says I'm not sure if I can make that work as well as this thing. But I bet you could. And I think if you're coming at it with this positivity and this is going to help people excel, I feel like you're going to be shocked how quickly you become successful and be reinforced with all this incredible human energy. That it's not just going to be another way to make a living. It's going to be like, we're going to talk in 3 months and 90 days, and you're going to be like, I can't believe the things that started coming into my world when I made this decision. Do you know what I mean?
So yeah, I can see a different vision now for the end of 2020.
What do you see?
I see me standing on top of a mountain with a group of other people, and I've helped them get to the top because of the champion mindset.
Right. So you're using all of your skills and all that intellectual property you have, but now using it to help people overcome themselves and get to a higher level. And you're not going to be ridden by that weird guilt and anxiety that someone's got to get hurt for that, which probably makes you unhappy with yourself, maybe not bring your A game, maybe affects your personal relationships. Obviously, this oil maybe gave you a similar message. And you know, look, we just dropped our movie about psychedelics, and the psychedelics, what they usually do is they hardwire your head and your heart, you know, real quickly, and that's why it's traumatic or you have a bad trip, because basically you're being told what you know in your heart, and your brain can't handle it because it's like, what are you talking about? No. But a lot of times there's some truth in there.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That does.
Yeah. All right, so this is a big moment, and I really appreciate you going there. From here, I think it's important to do a few things. So again, first is the visualization. So I always tell my students, visualize where you want to be and go Hollywood. And I think you already did it. You stole me. You stole my thunder here, because you're like, end of the day, I'm on the top of a mountain surrounded by these people that I have helped get the championship mindset. They are on new levels. They love me for what I've done, and they're examples for people all around the world, and you're developing this IP. So I love that goal. So you're visualizing yourself at the top of the field when it comes to this championship mindset. You've got a 6 CV of helping real people in a ring, which is probably the hardest form of that test. And you can use that to propel other people. So I really like that. Let's talk about some of the things that you're going to need to resist to get there. Because what's going to happen is this. The old you is going to come around, and in a couple days it's going to say, it was great meeting Brian at London Rio, but you know, I got this client coming up and I still need the money, and I'm just going to do this one more gig. Or you try to do the other thing and you have a few failures in the beginning and you're like, this isn't going to work. So this is what's going to happen, and you're going to be tested now. Okay. Because that's what life does. And it's going to now come at you and make it hard to become this new version of you. It's not going to be easy. Same with London Rio. London Rio stuck so many obstacles in my way, I cannot tell you. My friends and family did not support London Rio for 3 or 4 years. I mean, like, my best friends in New York wouldn't even watch a single episode of the show. I kid you not. It would have taken them like a minute to click on it, and they're like, I'm too busy. I mean, that was like a gut punch to me. But it told me, are you doing this for the right reasons, and how bad do you want it? So I would just say to you right now, think about what are some things that you're going to have to deal with and resist going forward. It's going to probably be going back to that old way. Obstacles that are going to be put in your way when it comes to creating this new business. Can you think about some of those things?
Yeah, 100%.
What are some of those things, maybe more tangibly? What's going to be hard?
Well, you know, I'm going to have to speak to people that I'm working with and say, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. That's going to be tough. What else? Shutting down certain things that I've spent time, money, emotional investment as well. Yeah, it's going to be hard shutting that down for obvious reasons, and stepping away from it. It will be. I think if I tell myself it'll be tough, it'll be tough. If I tell myself it'll be easy, it'll be easy. So I have to tell myself it'll be easy, and then deal with the challenges as they come as hurdles to step over, and challenges along the way. But ultimately, I'll have something else guiding me now. Something which is, you know, more powerful.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of hit. Again, I was trying to drop some 6 steps on people. So the first one was kind of acknowledge where we're at. The next one was to visualize where we want to go. The next one, I call it purging. When I was in New York City, coming off being fired by my best friend, heroin overdose, my girlfriend of 4 years left me, I had to actually purge all these things around me. I had to get rid of my friends that would party with me, my drug dealers, my location that was really bad, and I got out of Dodge. So you need to think what you need to purge in your life. And maybe it's the clients or the business or that kind of thing. So just think, and also the self-talk, like you said. This could be super fun and super easy. Your clients might all say, I bet a bunch of them will say this. When I left the city and I told my client at Lehman Brothers, I said, I'm leaving the city because I'm not happy. And my client said, you haven't been happy for the last 2 years. So the people around you, even your clients, probably know you're not 100% into this. And a lot of times they'll be like, I totally respect you for your decision. And this story here is going to be part of your book in the next 2 years. This story is going to be part of your journey that you're going to tell people your why, and it's your why. We all know Rich Roll, his why, right? He was an alcoholic and he quit that and he became an ultra marathon guy or ultra runner. We know his why and it makes sense. This is going to be your why. I was doing this, I was teaching people how to be killers, and I realized I didn't want to do that. So this is going to be part of your story. So just remember the positive self-talk, the purging. The other thing I like to say, step number 4, is what I call pay price to action. And I borrowed this from Dan Pena, and that is sacrificing something now to get where you want to go. For you, I think it's shutting down that business and telling people you're going into something else, because you can't really go back on that. And I always tell people, unless you pay price to action, put something down that you're going to lose if you don't follow through, then you're just going to go back on it.
Okay, I got that.
So what is your pay price to action?
Well, I'm going to sacrifice box gnosis and put it to the sword.
It's a strong move, man. Yeah. Well, by doing that, I think you tell yourself and you burn that thing. Humans are ritual beings. We see people actually literally burn things. When Columbus went to the New World, the rumor is that he burned the ships, right? And the men were like, what are you doing? He's like, we are here no matter what. And then they had to do it. That's a good pay price to action. So for you, shut that thing down, tell everybody and say, I'm going here. Now, what's going to happen when that happens? I can already feel it. It makes you anxious, right? I can see it. So then you've got to replace now with what you want to do next. So that's replacing new peer groups, new thought patterns, and then also resisting all of that energy that's going to make you want to go back. So it means finding those new clients right away, starting to create those new programs, and expecting it to be hard. So the next 6 months is going to be hard. I would say after 6 months, you're going to start to see wins and you're going to be like, I got this for the rest of the year. But the next 6 months, expect it and be ready to resist all the things that are going to pull you back.
Okay.
Are you ready for that?
I'm ready for that.
What are some of the things that are going to pull you back? Even your friends and family and potential personal relationships are going to say, what are you, crazy? Don't listen to that guy at London Real. And again, don't listen to me ever, but listen to yourself. But they're all going to say, you're going to get probably a big boxing client. I want to fly you to Vegas. Tyson Fury is going to reach out and say, I got $100,000 for you. I saw you on London Real. And you're going to say, Tyson, I don't do that anymore. But when you're done with boxing, I want to talk about getting you to the championship mindset in your business. And he'll be like, knowing Tyson, he'll be like, I totally respect that, Matthew. I'm going to call you in 3 years. You know what I mean? But there's going to be tests. So you're going to have to resist those things. So plan right now in your head on your way home in the train.
Okay,
write all this stuff down. And plan in your head those things you're going to write down. And then the final one I like to say is, I call it slay the dragon. Get to that New Year's Eve dream. So finish this goal of yours. Finish the visualization. And know that to do there, you're going to have to hold yourself accountable every single step of the way. So the accountability is the final process. And that's part of when you shut it down. Tell everyone what you're doing. Tell them that New Year's Eve goal, this is what I'm doing by the end of the year. Tell your social media. I always like telling social media, you don't even know most of your social media people, but you're going to look stupid if by July, August, September, October, we don't see it materializing on your social media. So I always put it out there and say, look, in the next 3 months I'm doing this, 6 months I'm going to do this. Tell your friends and family, you watch me, by the end of the year, I will be having 20 people on the top of a mountain. And maybe you literally do that somewhere. Maybe you literally do that. Something to think about. I don't know if that's Mount Kilimanjaro or that's, Mount Snowden. It doesn't matter. It's a symbol. If you can have a group of people that have adopted your new mindset and be on the top of a mountain, you fucking won in my book, and I will give you that win. So again, those are those 6 steps. So to go over them, you acknowledge where you were, which is really hard. Acknowledge sounds like an easy step, but you were like, I got this conflict, but I really know in my heart I got to move on to something positive. And I think by doing that, like I said, you're going to be flooded with all of this help that's going to help you get there. Next, visualize the future. Where do you want to be in those 12 months? And go big on this. On your train ride home, really think about what are some of the JV partnerships, the podcasts you're on, the people, the products you're creating, the digital products we taught you in the Business Accelerator. What's the TED Talk that goes along with this journey? How I went from teaching people how to kill to teaching people how to win. I don't know. I mean, like, I can see it right there, man. This is a great story. Like, your story is sick, and you can come back to the oil as well. I mean, that's part of a great journey. You seem like emotional there. What's going on, man?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited.
But a little scared too.
Yeah, it's the same emotion. Anxiety and excitement is the same emotion, just filtered differently by the brain. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right, and it's good. You're a guy that understands the emotions, but you're still experiencing them as a human. So I respect that. And yeah, again, this is going to take a lot of breathing, but I think if you can just map this out in your head. So again, we visualize the future. We're purging all those things around us, all those negative behaviors, which for you was training for the wrong reasons. The clients, they weren't bad people, and what they're doing is their thing. So let them do that, but you just don't want to be a part of that anymore. And I see this happen to fighters all the time, where fighters don't want to punch another guy in the head anymore. And when they were young and full of testosterone and wanted to be the best, they were like, I don't care. And you see this. I had Rory McDonald on here, about a year and a half ago, and he used to be in the UFC, and he went to Bellator. And on his last fight, he got to the end, and he's getting really into religion these days, and he's quoting a lot of stuff in the Bible, and he's like, I don't know if I want to punch guys in the head anymore. And he's been training since he was 16. So like, the way you're feeling is the way a lot of people feel. They evolve, and that's okay. So again, you're going to purge everything that's from around you. You're paying the price to action, which means you're literally burning the ships. You're going to replace all of this stuff with new habits, new ideas, and you're going to expect the resistance. It's going to come, and you're going to be like, all right, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And something you don't see is going to happen is going to blindside you, and you're going to be like, oh, that's what Brian was talking about. Okay, I expect that. And then finally, you're going to finish the goal. You can't quit halfway, and then you slay the dragon. So it's 12 months' time. And dude, I'm excited.
I've got a big smile on my face.
I'm excited. So look, we're going to be following you. Are you on Instagram? Can we follow you on Instagram?
I will be, but in a different version.
Okay, good. So you're going to have a brand new Instagram. Let's share that on this video. Let's all help Matthew stay accountable. And again, like, just real respect to you for being honest and admitting this. I bet a lot of people now have watched you. I think you've already started the first step of helping other people in a positive way, because anybody watching this now are like, wow, if Matthew could just do this and give up something he knows for a long time and was a business and go on this new adventure, it's really inspiring for a lot of people, man.
I want to thank you, Brian.
Dude, man.
Appreciate your help. Thank you for everything you've done for me. You've got a good heart, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
My pleasure, man.
And
Thanks.
Thank you for your team as well.
No, thanks for taking a chance. You had no idea what you were coming into today, so thanks for making the trip. You look sharp, so compliments for that.
Thank you so much.
And look, we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back with just one other person here and go through the same process. But again, give this man some respect. We'll put his social down here below. Let's follow him, hold him accountable. And for New Year's 2020, let's celebrate the big wins that he's taken in. All right, so we'll be back in a couple minutes. Thanks.